We live in a very tactile world. Our fingertips take us everywhere. So why are we using a mouse to make music? I don't. My Slate Ravens are faster than a mouse, hands down. Today I'm going to show you why. I'm Andy, and this is Tactile Audio. In the last video, we took a look at how I see my Tonus ARP 2600 and how I use it to make sounds that I put in my music. You saw me making sounds and tweaking sounds on the 2600 like throughout the entire video while I was demoing like the various functional parts of the instrument. And it wasn't hard to follow along because all of those shots, it's all hands-on. You know, everything I'm doing, you can see exactly what I'm doing. And it makes a huge difference when it comes to learning, how we learn, and obviously like how we create things. So for me, the Raven system from Steven Slate Audio bridged the ultimate gap for me. It gave me miles and miles more, really, than I even knew to ask for. So that gap for me was the mouse. I came from a world, I learned how to do music and produce music on mixers and tape decks. And going to a world that was fully in the box left me trying every possible way to get back to a tactile situation without the mouse. I tried like every product on the market, like every product. They all sucked to me until Raven came along, and that was like 10 years ago. And that changed everything for me. You know, like I've been on Raven ever since. Now I have 2 full core station. Couldn't be happier. And now I do produce a lot of content for Slate about Ravens and how to use them and stuff. And so, but this is not that. This is just me. In my life, this is my life, this is how I live it. And this is where I live. This is my world. So as you can see, all around me are old vintage synths this is a totally hands-on situation. There's more of them in the rack there, same thing. I like to have everything just in reach, available to me and ready to go the instant I touch it. Around here, music happens really fast. And now that I use Ravens, or really now that I've been using Ravens for so long, it's such a fast and seamless situation when I'm making music, as you'll see in the videos that will come. So, I mean, I'm 100% of the time, almost nearly 100% of the time, I'm not ever touching the mouse when I'm doing music sessions, you know. If I'm tweaking sounds back here with my hands, I don't want to turn around and have to use a mouse to tweak EQs and compressors over here. I just want to do it all. Just reach out and do it, you know? And so that's my world. Let me show you how it works in my mouseless world, you know, using all the tactile things that are behind me and never having to touch a mouse in front of me. So let's go. Okay, let's talk about how all this gets set up, connected, etc., and how I use it, because it's all on. I come in, power it all up, and then here we go. It looks like this. So right now I have the 3 synths that are in the rack, which is a Korg M1, a Yamaha MU80, and a Roland SC50. They're all playing at once from this thing, right? So we can, you know, drop a little, and after I break all this down, I'll do like a full little improv performance on all of this. And I should note, I do all this in Ableton, and we'll have that coming out on this channel. I just need to add one MIDI thing to kind of sync everything better, because Logic does it really well, better than Ableton, just as it is. So let's put a little hold on there, and we'll run around the instruments. We've also got the ARP Odyssey on top, DX7 on the bottom, back here, ARP 2600 and mini mode. So DX7, Odyssey, 2600. Let's not forget the 707 and the mini mode. How amazing is that, right? So let's look at how we put all that together. Pull that VCA down on the Odyssey. And I mean, have you ever heard two synths that were more born to be played together than the 2600 and the Mini Moog? Jesus, dude. Okay, so over here in Logic, and like I said, this is going to be the same for like any DAW, whatever you're working in, same principles. And you'll see this in later videos on this channel. You'll see this in Ableton, you know, and maybe other stuff too. But so the analog synths are all just straight lines. There's no MIDI happening with those guys, with the exception of the 2600. On the 2600, I do have a MIDI to CV converter up in the rack here, which takes the MIDI data from this controller, converts it to CV data, control voltage, not data, but just control voltage, sends it on to whatever we want it to. In this case, I use it on the 2600 a lot. It makes because the keyboard's not the best. It's pretty good. It's dialed in pretty good right now, but again, that's a voltage thing, so it can go out of whack. But if you want to do like arpeggiators and different sequence type stuff, it makes it really easy to have your MIDI keyboard hooked up. Then you just have a MIDI channel, and you'll see all this eventually, but then you just have a MIDI channel, and it's running its thing and bumping the 2600 from here, which is super convenient. But in general, no MIDI back here. This is generally just, you know, you play it live as a take, like any instrument, like a guitar or something. And that's those guys. So up here in the project, let's flip back. In the project, we've got 707, DX7, 2600 Moog, and Odyssey, and those are just straight tracks, right? So where it gets a little more interesting is when we get down to the MU80 and stuff. And so with the MU80, the SC50, and the M1, you can do several sounds for each one. Now, the M1's the newest unit in here, and I haven't got into that deep, so we just have one sound coming from the M1 today. But we can have a listen to it. Let's see. Yeah. It's just a simple analog bass patch. That's not the Seinfeld patch, but that is the machine that is responsible for the Seinfeld patch. We should do a video on it. So that's what's coming out of the M1. Nothing special there. The SC50. It's giving us some lush. And in there we have a sweep pad. Let's turn these other ones off a little bit. We have a sweep pad, a metal pad, and that organ. All together. Pretty cool. And then so we have then the MU80. I don't normally do the tiny buttons with my fingers, though, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But we have the console over here, which I'll probably flip over to the screen in a minute anyways, so we can look at how it mixes and stuff. But generally these mutes and stuff like that, that's all big finger buttons on the console. FYI, that's all. So over here, we can turn these input monitors off so we just hear one at a time. Simple piano. Let that pad swing around. You know, I mean, they're not like the most greatest sounds. But they're unique. It's been 30 years since these sounds have been put into the world. The two units, we've got 1994 on the Yamaha and the Roland, and the M1R is, I don't know, same time, maybe a couple years later. But, you know, the sounds are, to me, somewhat fresh if you find something interesting to do with them. But then we got synth strings. You know, like some of these sounds aren't bad at all. The choir, little polysynth. Hello, 80s. That's ridiculous. Little synth kit. What else is in this? Some more synth strings, orchestra hit. So what we end up with, of course, I'm like, what did we have? What did we have hot up here? Let's see what those sound like. We'll let those loose, the other ones, and sick, totally sick. So next, let's look at like, so how does this stuff come on? Like you saw, the analog stuff is just channels that come in there, right? Well, with the synths, it's a little different. It's super cool. If you have a synth connected to Logic, and I don't know what other programs, how they handle it, but Logic is super cool like this. If you have a synth connected like that, connected to Logic, it pulls in the case of the Roland and the Yamaha, those are general MIDI devices, like sound canvas devices. And so when you pull those in, it pulls their presets too. So like when I'm clicking through these tracks on the MU80 up here, you can look over here and see that this changes. This is the patch right here. So all of the presets from the unit are right there. I don't have to menu dive that thing, which is super, super nice and handy. And that's because those are general MIDI devices. If there's a device that's not like that, like the M1 here, I can still add its presets in, like if I copy them out of the manual and paste it in to where? Well, let's have a look. We're going to hit this batch command button right down here, which has, it's a little off screen, but the batch command button has for us, we can just put it on screen, can't we? This batch command button right here, if I press and hold it, I programmed it to have a key command. Easy peasy, it's command 0. And that way I don't have to do the key command because, I don't like to use the mouse or the keyboard ever around here. So we're just going to instead hit that little MIDI envelope button. It's going to keep opening it every time that we press it. So I'm going to hit the little thing up there and switch to the MIDI instrument tab. Look at that. So now here's our synths. Awesome. If we select like one of these little squares in there, that tells us what's going to come back on channel 11, because each one of these synths will have 16 channels. And on each one, I can put, any sound from the module. So it's like having 16 versions of itself available to me. So all you do, pick the one you want, set it up, you tell it, your MIDI ins and outs and what synth it's going to. And then again, you can set its preset right here. And once you do that, Logic is then going to remember that when it opens the project, it's going to send a program change and boom, there's your preset ready to go. You don't have to reset anything. It makes it super easy. So one more thing, like I was just talking about, if we double tap that, it opened way over here on the other monitor. Let me mouse drag it over. You get this window. In here, you can see there's all those preset names. And so for like the M1, someday soon, we'll do a video about it. I'll go and get the M1 presets, copy those, paste them into here, and then they will show up on that menu as well. And I won't have to menu dive for any of those presets on those 3 units, which is super nice. Like we do like to be like hands-on with things, and when we can, of course, back here, and we want to be hands-on kind of up here, but there's limits to, your sanity. You don't want to be menu diving those tiny things that frankly weren't designed with good like user interface principles. It was 1994. But the sounds are cool and they interface well with all this stuff. So it ends up being a win-win-win. Finally, the 707, you did hear that. That came on because I simply started the playhead, right? So with the 707, what we're doing is just simply sending a clock sync signal to it over the MIDI cable. So one of my MIDI outs on the interface back there shoots a clock signal to this thing, and once it gets it, that's when it kicks up whatever pattern it happens to be playing. So this is the 707 right here. Let's change patterns. Pretty cool, right? 707 is like a big brother, little brother, I don't know, to the 808. Everybody has a different opinion, but generally I like it because it's just like the 808, but it's different sounds. Again, I like to. I don't want to have all the same sounds everyone else has, obviously. So, but that's the 707, and you can run it in sync. You can run it. You can play it individually, and generally, I will. If I'm using it, I'll just record it as if it's another synth. I call this a synth all the time. It's one of the analog synths. Technically, it is. It's just got a different kind of way of interfacing. So. That I think that's everything. I said I was going to show you. We'll flip the console, and so over here in console land, you can see this all works exactly the same as normal, normal mixing stuff. Also, here's my analog channels. Here's my microphone, and then over here we have MU80, we have SC50. You can slide this mixer over one channel at a time because I know we're blocking some views with the insets. Isn't that convenient? But so we have the MU80, we have the SC50 and all their channels in between, and you can mix them just like you would expect. You can pan them like you would expect. And furthermore, watch for when I get into like deeper dives on the MU80, for example. I've got all this just like mapped. It mapped perfectly and fast and easy to control all the things about the sounds in those, which is super cool right here. So yeah, it's kind of a never-ending awesome rabbit hole, I guess you'd say, that you can go down with all of this stuff because at the end of it all, you just get to make cool ass music. So let me do a little improv jam on the way out. Hope you found this interesting or useful in some kind of a way. I'm Andy. This is Tactile Audio. Cheers.